So I had a thought. I wanted to share my love of strawberry picking with you guys. First off, I have to say this video was kind of a tough one to edit because I ended up just taking a bunch of random footage at the time and didn't really think about an overarching story that I would be able to tell. And in the end, I don't think there really was one, except that I like strawberry picking, I like woodworking, and I like to bake stuff. So I'm not sure how entertaining this will be to watch, but maybe we just chalk it up to practice for filming and editing, and I can really only get better from here. Don't ask me why, but I've always liked picking fruit. Blueberries, raspberries, cherries, apples, you name it, I will pick it. But the season always starts off with strawberries. So when the time came, I hopped in the car and I journeyed out to the countryside for strawberries. So for whatever reason, I must make it out to pick strawberries at least once every year. And the weird part is, I don't even like strawberries all that much. Don't get me wrong, the first sweet Ontario strawberry of the year is always an amazing experience. But after that, they're, fine. Unless you put them on a waffle with whipped cream, that will get me every time. Protect the berries. So since my love for strawberries doesn't really extend to eating them fresh, I thought maybe I would just bake them into a delicious little treat. And having since completed my second rewatch of Downton Abbey, don't serve me a pastry if it's not on a lovely little platter. This whole video kind of got kickstarted when I saw this TikTok by Jessie Jane Day, where she turned antique plates and glasses into lovely little cake stands. And I thought, you know what? I'm in the mood for a crafty little DIY. I don't really trust myself with fine glassware at the best of times, so I went to the glass candle holder section of the thrift store and found so many cool options. I came home with this one that was literal perfection for a base of a cake stand. I also picked up this really pretty plate at the same time. Logically, I thought the first thing to do would be to get out a ruler and find the exact middle of my plate. Then I grabbed a crusty tube of half-used clear silicone I had, but when that old crusty silicone obviously failed to cure, I grabbed this other clear silicone I had to get the job done. And then I tried to place the center of my candle holder down over the center of the plate. Somehow I thought taping them together upside down was going to work, and when that inevitably didn't work out, I did it the right way up. FYI, I used silicone instead of something like E6000 because I just thought it would be easier to separate the plate from the candle holder if ever I didn't want them to be a cake stand in the future. So with my pretty cake stand off to the side drying, I kind of got the itch to do more. So we had this wooden Lazy Susan we were actually just about to give away, and this green vase left over from an edible arrangement. I drilled 3 holes in the bottom of the vase. Side note, since I was putting holes into ceramic pots, I thought I would just make a separate video about how to do just that. And that's linked in the description below. You're probably gonna be like drilling drainage holes for plants rather than making cake stands or something. But honestly, it works for both, so. Anyways, back to it. I marked the hole placement on the underside of the turntable and drilled pilot holes so that I could easily attach them together using panhead screws and washers. Super easy. Okay, I'll admit, those cake stands came together really nicely, but they didn't necessarily quench my DIY thirst for that day. So I thought I would combine my desire to do a little woodworking with an absolute need to use up some of the lumber that I have been collecting over the past few years to make a checkerboard cake stand topper like this one. The plan is to make a checkerboard pattern out of wood that I have had for way too long and use a router to cut a circle out of it to attach to a base. So I started off with some afromosia and cherry that I took to the table saw where I ripped them down into strips that were as wide as they were thick. And then, with some wood glue that is waterproof and FDA compliant for indirect food contact, I glued up my strips into a board. Using cauls, which are these packing tape covered bits of scrap wood, I clamped everything together. When it had dried a bit and the glue was still a bit gummy, I used my new card scraper to remove as much squeeze out as I could. Very satisfying. Before clamping it back up for a couple of hours. When it was dry, it was back to the table saw to rip strips going the other way. Then spinning every other strip 180 degrees, I started gluing them up just like I did the first time and left it overnight until the next day when I was apparently in the mood to chat with you. Hey guys, so I let it dry overnight and when all is said and done, our board looks like this, which is pretty freaking cool. I think I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up with the planer and then we'll have a beautiful board to work with. Now, if you wanted to stop here, you could trim off the edges, give it a little bit of sand, coat it in a cutting board oil, and Bob's your uncle. That is a beautiful friggin' cutting board. Honestly, I'm pondering, do I stop here? No, we have a plan. So we are going to continue on with this and actually cut a circle out of it with the router. And I'm gonna show you how. So I proceeded to explain my DIY process step by step, and honestly, it was going well for a while. Guys, I should learn to never say I'm gonna show you how to do something. I'll just be like, you can watch me do it. Because guaranteed, if I act like I know what I'm doing, something's gonna go wrong. It's not the end of the world. I just had a little bit of chip out here. But anyways, it is a circle and it's beautiful. I think I'm just gonna give it another little go and see if that helps, but honestly, it's looking pretty damn cute. Do I do it? Do I not do it? Do I make it smaller? Oh, what do you have to lose? An entire day's work. Yeah, a whole day's work. The method I use for cutting circles, I learned from a tutorial by Alicia English, and it's great if you ever want to check it out. I have successfully used this method for cutting circles with the router many times before, but I was probably only ever using pine and MDF, and I was struggling to get this to work on the hardwood with my router. I tried a brand new router bit and even a backup router, and it only got worse and worse. At one point, I got out the jigsaw to try to finish my cut unsuccessfully, and that's when I called it quits for the night. It's raining outside. It's actually lovely. What better way to spend a rainy day than by baking up those strawberries? First, I decided to try making vegan strawberry scones. I'm not vegan, but I know a vegan and I wanted her to be able to try them. Okay. Girl, I don't think there's any kneading until it comes together. I don't think this is right. Girl. Girl! It's probably not ideal, but the only thing I could think to do was to keep adding flour until it kind of came together a bit. Using a pizza cutter or a large knife, cut it like you would a pizza. Okay. Pizza cutter, big ass knife. Okay. Okay. Once the scones have cooled, drizzle with the glaze. Oh, that was too much. That was definitely too much. Since I didn't have the highest hopes for the scones, I thought I couldn't go wrong with some cream cheese-filled strawberry muffins. So I baked a batch of those too. And while those were baking, I wanted to show you how the cake stands turned out. So first off, we have our candlestick holder and our pretty plate. Look at that, she's on there solid. I actually did end up getting a matching pair of these candlestick holders because I thought it was really, really cool. So in the future, if ever I want to separate the two, hopefully I can just take like a really thin ruler or a utility knife or something and just slice away that silicone. But for now, that is a good seal. And what a pretty little cake stand. And then we have this one with the Lazy Susan on it. That's actually really cool. 10 out of 10, no notes, would do again. And I didn't want to leave you guys without a handmade wooden cake stand topper, so I was able to use the router to cut a circle out of pine, which still ended up really rough on the edges, but it sanded out all right. As you know, this is not what this one was supposed to look like. I tried to do a checkerboard pattern, but I was having a lot of trouble with my router to the point where I think it might actually be busted. So I've ordered a new router and that's en route, but it did not arrive in time to do anything about this. So we got just a nice little pine round on top of a pot. I was thinking about trying to redo a checkerboard round just because it would look so cool. But then I was like, eh. But I went so far as to making the checkerboard all over again, and I just decided to oil it up and now have a checkerboard cutting board, is how that goes. Because, I mean, this was so pretty, I didn't want to risk ruining it again with the router or waiting for the new one. So, bonus, I got a checkerboard cutting board. And it's beautiful. So I plated up the goods and got ready to have a little afternoon tea with my mom. And I started with the muffin. This is soggier than I was anticipating. I wonder if it's because of these were the only liners I had left, and they're like lined with foil. I didn't really finish my thought there, but I think I was thinking that the foil-lined liners that I had were somehow like trapping moisture inside of the muffin, leading to a very interesting mouthfeel. Anyways, you want to switch? Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Is that what a scone is supposed to taste like? You see what I say about the muffin? Why is it so soggy?
I much prefer this one.
Fair enough. Well, you know what? She said you can use other types of fruit. So there's raspberry season, blueberry season. You can try again. So, strawberries. I don't know how to end this off. All right. Oh, good God. So stupid. uh,